Welcome back to East Coast DNA. I got a little bit of a wider angle here. We're starting to see outside the backdrop because we have two guests this time.
Hello.
So some people may recognize Katie, who's been a previous guest on the show, but maybe not Brandi, unless you're really astute and you actually are listening to Nice Horse because we featured them on East Coast DNA.
Exactly. They listened to the interview and then they did a deep dive and they found me.
So we might as well start with you, Brandi, since we haven't met yet.
Yeah, hi.
So when did you start your music career? Because when I interviewed Katie, we dived into a little bit that I knew about from Jackalope and some of the other stuff that she'd done with Disney Channel and everything back in the day. So I had a lot of tidbits, but where does Brandi come from?
Yeah, so my musical career is very different than the start of Katie's. I thought I was going to be an opera singer.
Oh, wow.
So I did my master's degree in opera and was like hell-bent to be an opera singer. And then once I went through all of that, I realized that, I love opera, but you get to sing the same few parts the rest of your life,
sure, depending
on what your voice type is. And I wanted to sing songs that I had like connection to. And so that was how I had entered into like the popular music world. And so I started, and I maybe say that very loosely because then I started an indie pop band where I played French horn and there was also a bassoon player and we like ran them through pedals. And so I maybe didn't really know what popular music was yet.
You got the diversity thing down for sure.
Look, I have loved music in all forms and I've always played. Like I've always done, I've always wanted to absorb all of music that I possibly could. And so that was like what brought me to classical music and then to the indie pop world. I'm also a military musician. I play French horn and bass with the Royal Canadian Navy. And then, and now I'm in a country duo with Katie.
Now, getting to the country duo, if anybody wants to know like the deep dive on Katie, you could go to YouTube right now and watch that full interview.
Yes. We went deep.
We definitely covered Nice Horse, but I didn't really dive too much into like the origins of the name Nice Horse at that point. So perhaps inappropriately it has like a double entendre name the way it's pronounced.
I love that you noticed that. I mean, what?
Yeah, that was the reaction I was expecting, so I was careful how I phrased that. But did it start as kind of a partnership with a charity?
Oh, I mean, that's the thing we did too. First of all, you need to know that I'm not even going to tell you what our original band name was because it's that offensive. And so then we settled on Nice Horse because we do have a love of horses. There was a backstory with Brandi's dad but it's also like, have you ever gone by a horse and seen a horse and not been like, well, that's a nice horse?
Sure.
And that's something that Brandi's dad says all the time when he sees nice horses. And then also it sounds pretty funny. We said it out loud in a bar a couple times and we were like, well, that's pretty funny. But yeah, so that's kind of like how that, and now I'm forgetting what the question was.
The charity.
Right.
Yeah.
So Brandi and I are both cowgirls and we both like do love horses. And so we were looking, I think as a musician, I think it's partly, and anybody who's a public figure, I think it's partly your responsibility to shed, because you have the platform to shed the light on certain things. And so when we started as a band, we were like, we do need to do something that means a lot to us, and there are a lot of causes that do mean a lot to us. But Brandi is in the Navy; she's in the military, and so that's also something that's very important to us. And so there's a charity out there that supported veterans with PTSD through horse therapy, and so we had started working with them kind of very early on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's an absolutely great charity, and it goes and extends beyond even the help to the veterans, because sometimes you see the help to the vets, but they actually offer equine therapy to the spouses of vets and family members, because with PTSD, it's just not just the member that's going through it.
Yeah.
It's everybody is involved. It affects everybody in the family. So it's a really great program, and we were so honored to be a part, like help in the small way that we have throughout our career.
That's amazing, and it's a great kind of part of the origin story of the whole band thing too. Now, originally the band would have had more members that are the official members. Like, I just saw your performance, and you have a full band out there, but you're known as a duo.
Yeah.
So, not so much about who are the members that are no longer in the band. But what I'm curious is, when you guys perform, I know of you doing big stage like you did here, despite that I also know that you've kind of come up through this Cavendish Beach Music Festival, playing on the smaller stage and working your way up. But do you guys also have like a duo where it's just the two of you and like maybe a stripped down acoustic version? Or
yeah, we do, and we gave everybody a little sneak peek of it today. But yeah, I mean, that's what Brandi and I love, is we love playing music together, the two of us, but we also love to rock out, which is something that just like we're the most excited, I think, when we get to play in these big stages and these massive with a full band. We love to rock, but I think there's a side of us that's also very vulnerable and intimate, and so when we get the opportunity to play as just the two of us, that also changes the perspective, and gives people a little bit more insight. And so I feel like in order to know Nice Horse fully, you have to see both.
Yeah, and I think how you say like you have like us for big stages, but you have seen us come up in a lot of ways, like we have at Cavendish, like playing the kitchen stage 2 years ago and now playing the main stage. I feel like that happens with a lot of acts, like that you're never at the main stage overnight, but everyone thinks you are. And there was a lot of Katie and I have done a lot of touring, like when we were solo artists, like in our cars driving across Canada, and playing in little cafes and sometimes playing to the bartender, and that's it. And I think that is that isn't a really, I think, important part about coming up in the music industry is like, because when you get on a main stage like Cavendish, what that means to you after you came from driving your Honda Civic 12 hours to Thunder Bay to play to a bartender who is hoping that you're finished soon so he can close the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a totally different. It's just it makes it that much more special to be on that stage.
Yeah, well, you feel like you've earned it, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm a little glutton for punishment because I'll follow people out on the road and some specific people who know there. So the Honda Civic thing ties it. He knows who I'm talking about. He's watching this right now.
Oh my god!
I'm in one all the time. So and he slept in it last night.
Oh my gosh!
So I can relate to that.
Man, I lived in my Honda Civic for 10 months.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Walmart parking lots are a great place to park if you want to sleep overnight.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah.
Just I don't live in my Honda Civic anymore, though.
Well, and shout out to Good Life, not a sponsor, but they saved me a few times because in PEI they have a 24/7 with showers.
Oh my god!
So it's been an excellent week, I'll say for sure. So for Nice Horse going forward, I mean, it's been several months now since we talked too. Do you have like any tour dates when you get back home? Are you staying on the East Coast a little bit while you're down here now?
We wish so much that we could stay, but we've got to get back west for more gigs, and that's what summer will be. We call it Canadian ping pong, where we just go coast to coast. Like we got to play this. We'll also be playing later in Vancouver Island, so literally everywhere in between, and then the fall I'm sure we'll be out on the road in a more probably intimate setting, but we'll see.
And I guess the last question that's most important to leave people with, new material, when should they be looking for stuff to come?
I mean, we've got that new record that just came out in April, and so while we have been writing for the next record, I think we're still also relishing that record took 4 years for us to put it out, and so we're still really living in the moment of having that out while behind the scenes working like little workhorses.
Yeah, the plan is to be in the studio by the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. So you're going to be right back at it.
Yeah.
So we will end with a live performance. I have some of your performance from today already captured. So everyone out there that wants to follow along, there will be some links in the description here. Subscribe to East Coast DNA so you can keep up to date with some of these wonderful performers. We will pepper stuff throughout the year leading up to some of these events too, like we did with Katie.
Yeah.
And definitely reach back out. When you have your new singles out from the album, let me know and we'll promote it to keep people up to date. But you should subscribe to their stuff and we'll keep everyone up to date with what's going on with Nice Horse as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.